either way I'm gonna say it. Let me share the screen properly. All right. So what is GDG? Uh, yeah, Google Developer Clubs. Uh, these are the global communities overall in the community, a global community of tech enthusiasts, developers, and students like us. It's all over the world, and our goal is to provide platform. It's basically a platform where each and every students and developers are catered to together learn, share, and build solution using Google technologies. Whether it's working with Android, Firebase, Google Cloud, or even exploring the innovative world of AI. GDG is here to help you grow. Okay, this is basically a platform you can develop and cater your skills, and under which there is JDGC. Previously, it is as of now it's transitioned to JDGC. Before it was the Google Developer Students Club GDSC. Now, what's the purpose of GDGC? इससे पहले could any of you guys? I will tell you something. These three are the main threefold of purpose of GDGC. So learning and development, networking and career growth. So before this, I would like to ask you a question. Any one of you, just tell me about learning and development. This part and should match my what I'm thinking about. I would give you the card details of me of my number. You can purchase anything under 15 rupees, TK, or just raise your hands or just you can just raise your hands and I will. You can tell me about learning and development. I'm just kidding. Not 15 rupees. I will just give you 200. That's the catch. I was just kidding. You have to open your mic and tell if no one, you can just say it. As you raise your hand. Alright, I'll just move on. Then I'll just tell you learning and development. First, GDGC, we want to empower developer students, whether you're just starting out, already experienced, or you're just starting to learn new skills through hand-on workshop, hackathons, and study groups. Here we cater you, and through learning and development, you have to GDGC provide you the path. You can get on the events. You can get on the workshops. You'll get all of this. And the second is networking. Networking is key. GDG is great to way to meet like-minded individuals, connect with experts, and share knowledge with your peers. It's about learning together and helping each other succeed. This is the main key if you wanna get onto the professional work. Networking is the main key. You have to have the networking, and the last is career growth. That's the last not the least. JDGC it provides a platform to grow your career through events and resources. You can develop skills that will open doors to new opportunities, whether it's earning, certification, building, or impressive projects, or networking with the industry's leaders. Career growth. We have another, an upcoming event that will be shared to you by Rashid. You will get to know what it is, and how you can get to for career growth. Uh, that's it from and now I would like to introduce our GB for this tenure, 2024 and 25. These dedicated individuals will be leading our community forward, ensuring we continue hosting impactful events and introducing new technologies to the campus. Firstly, we have Rayanuddin. He's the chief coordinator of the GDGC for this tenure. Mahin Ilyas, who's the anchor just now. She's the chief coordinator. Rafi Siddiqui, he's the treasurer for this tenure. Ayman Khadri, he's the chief representative. And we have two tech captains, Abdul Rashid Isa and Hisham Saeed. These two are the tech captains for this tenure. And last but not least, we have Sadika Paveen. She's the general secretary for this event. This team is committed to helping you make the most of your experience with GDG, and we are excited for what's to come this year. And Mahin, I would like you to take the control over.
Thank you so much, Danish. That was a very informative session. Now, moving ahead with the session, it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Maniza Hijab, Associate Head of the CSA Department, and the Faculty Advisor of GDG MJCET, to share her inspiring words with us. Let's give her a warm welcome. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Mahin. Firstly, I congratulate the Exicom, uh, the newly formed Exicom, and also congratulate for the first event. I welcome Abdul Malik. Right? How are you, Abdul Malik?
I'm I'm good, ma'am. Alhamdulillah. How are you?
Fine. Nice to have you. Nice to have you back. Inshallah, I hope your session would give guidance and motivation to the students. Well, students, I am not going to stand between you and the speaker. My only concern is that this forum is basically technical, and we would want you to take the maximum of this. And through the forum, you should be able to hone your skills and also, take the opportunities and develop your skills. And please remember, in this competitive environment, networking plays a very big role. So you should also learn how to network, and inshallah, we would want that in the coming years, more and more students would be able to contest for the leads, right? Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your engaging words and your guidance. Now, next, I would like to welcome our tech captain, Abdul Rashid Isa, for introducing Google's technologies and unveiling the first campaign of the tenure.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Sadiqa. Hi, everyone. I'm Abdul Rashid, and I'm the tech captain of GDSC this year. And I would like to introduce you to the Google technologies that are relevant for the Gen AI campaign and what they are used for. As you can see on your slide, we have a few technologies that are basically the main ones for AI-related activities in Google. And the first one is TensorFlow, which is a machine learning framework. Basically, it's a library that you use in your Python code that is made by Google, and it's used for predominantly used in today's business landscape for deploying and training deep learning models. Deep learning models is basically what AI is made up of. Next, we have Keras, which is a technology built on top of TensorFlow, which is a higher level API. Basically, it's easier to use, and it has a bunch of functionality built on top of TensorFlow that helps you implement it more easily rather than setting each and everything by yourself. Next, we have Google Cloud, which is basically a cloud platform, is something that you can deploy various things on. And for our use case, we can deploy machine learning models, as well as we can host machine learning data over there, as well as perform training over there on Google Cloud. Then we can use that model in our websites or whatever app or whatever we want to deploy. Next is Gemini, which is Google's Gen AI sort of chat GPT made by Google, basically. And it's AI model designed for versatile applications in natural language processing. So it can act as an LLM, it can act as a chart completion, it can act as sentiment analysis and various things like that. It has a separate API, and it is one of the premier technologies that Google is working on right now. Yeah, let's move on to the next slide. The Gen AI campaign is what I'm here to introduce you to. One second. Yeah, so this campaign will be a 4-week journey where you'll master the latest AI and cloud technologies. You'll get hands-on experience with Google's AI tools, allowing you to build innovative solutions, collaborate with other people, and explore the potential of generative AI, basically. Can you move on to the next slide? Yeah. So as for sort of what is Gen AI and why it's important, I think every one of us must have had some interaction with Gen AI in form of, let's say, the shorts we watch, the videos we watch, or the chat GPT that we might have used at some point. So generative AI is sort of a game changer in that aspect. It doesn't just process data like traditional programming, but it creates entirely new content from training data. Imagine like images, text, or audio, as I've mentioned just now. just by analyzing the existing data patterns. So throughout this campaign, we'll be deep diving into how this technology works, and we'll use Google Cloud to build scalable solutions that will make you stand out in today's tech landscape. And you move on to the next slide. 1 second. All right. So Google Cloud's role in AI is basically it's the backbone for, as I said, deploying AI models at scale. That is, you might train an AI model and run it on your local machine, but that's simply not scalable. Scalable means you can't deploy it to a large number of people. So with tools like Vertex AI, that is Google's sort of scaling solution for AI, we'll have the infrastructure to not only build machine learning models, but to deploy them in real world applications. That involves handling big data, that is, large amounts of data like terabytes, petabytes, and to implement, as well as implementing AI solutions. Google Cloud is where you'll be honing your skills during the campaign. Next slide, please. Yeah, again, why you should join should be clear. Basically, it gives you the opportunity to learn the premier technology that is going on today, that is AI and cloud skills that are critical in the tech industry today. You'll get free access to Google's Skill Boost platform. You can earn Google recognized certificates and have the chance to win exclusive swags. Plus, you'll be part of a community of like-minded peers. That sounds like a great learning experience. Don't miss out and register as soon as you get the opportunity to. And that's it for the Genia introduction. Thank you.
So I hope that the campaign introduction was clear to everyone and that you all are excited for this. Now over to Danish, who's going to explain the registration process.
All right. So I'll just give you the scanner. Yeah. Could you all guys just quickly scan this and open the forms link? And once you have done, just raise your hands that I could know out if you guys have done it. Are you guys done scanning the QR? Wait for a second. I will share the link as well in the in our WhatsApp group. You can access from there as well. I've shared the link in our group. You can just access it from there as well. I'll continue. And one thing that you should remember, if any of you guys have already logged in or have done the study jams, either it could be cloud or Gen AI, your account must be after 17th of September it must be created. Or if you guys just create a new email, it's fine if it's not, but it's better if you create it after the 17th of September. Just go to you just Yeah, this part. Yeah, in your forms you'd get this part. That is https skillboost.gtb. It's your public profile. For this part, only you have to need to understand how you can get it. And I'll explain to you. You have to log in the Google Cloud Skill Boost. Then you have to just sign in or join. And you have to here you have to either create a new account or you just use it with your existing one. But it's better to be on the safe side and create a new account, so we don't have any further problems in the future. Then it's a basic one. Then you have to go into your profile. There you have to make your account. Make here you can just see make profile public. You have to click on this and you get a URL. This URL you have to copy this whole path and paste it in the forms. This is the only main thing. Then rest it's easy. You can do it by yourself. Just you have to fill the form. This was only the part that you needed to be explained on. Mine you can just take it out.
Okay. Thank you, Danish. Now it's time for the most awaited part of the session. I would like to invite our guest speaker, Abdul Malik, SZE at Amazon. In addition to his role at Amazon, he is also the co-founder of OU Notes and a participant of Google Summer of Code 2022. Join me in welcoming him to this session. Over to you, Abdul Malik.
Thanks for the introduction.
You're welcome.
I wanted to share my screen. I think whoever is sharing your screen, they have to first switch that off.
Can you share your screen now?
Not sure. It says you're not allowed to share your screen.
Just remove all of it.
Okay, now I think I see it.
I'll just stop sharing the screen.
Okay, I hope you can see the presentation. Okay, I hope my screen is visible. Can someone let me know in the chat?
Yep, Malik, it is visible.
Okay. So, first of all, I'd like to thank the GDG student body for hosting this event. And also, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So, before starting, generally, I ask a question to the audience, and I want the participants to reply in the messages or the chat. So, do you want me to speak exclusively in English, or do you want me to include some Hyderabadi as well? Because like Hindi/Urdu is something that you can feel instead of just a bunch of words with English. Are you guys okay with that?
Both, yeah. The chat is responding with Hyderabadi English. Anything is fine, both is fine.
Okay, as expected from MJ students, but yeah. So let's start. Even though I think the speaker gave a good introduction, I still want to go over it once more. So, I've graduated from MJ in 2022, which means I joined in 2018. I think in my second year, I made two applications. The first one was Time for Salah, which was like a namaz time application, which for some reason I did not maintain, and it's now been removed from the Play Store. My second application was OU Notes, which I guess a lot of you guys are using. So this is what I did mostly in COVID and the lockdown. All of this was mostly self-taught because we don't have any like subjects for learning app development. This was all through online courses, YouTube, Udemy, Wikipedia, whatever I could find. And then after that, I gave a shot at getting into Google Summer of Code. But in my third year, I couldn't get into like the GSOC program. But the organization or like the open source organization that I was working for, or actually I wasn't working for them. I was just like improving their features and sending pull requests and basically contributing to them. So they thought that my contribution was, something valuable. So uh, they decided to give me an internship for that year, and then the next year in the same organization, I got into the Google Summer of Code program, which was immensely helpful, by the way, which I'll be mentioning. Um, and then in my final year, I had a team, and we won the college hackathon, which we generally have like every year. I think around January or February, something like that. And then I also opened a YouTube channel for some reason. But I just mentioned this because I had to learn editing from scratch, and that took a lot of time. So I'm just mentioning this as well. And then after my bachelor's, I decided to pursue master's in Virginia Tech, which is a university in the US in a state called Virginia. And then in my master's, I basically tried to complete it in the least possible time, which is 1.5 years or 3 semesters. And apparently, you cannot go faster than that. Because I was honestly just, I wanted to go out in the world and start working instead of like this being in educational institutions. And I was a bit frustrated with the education system. So I was like, I want to get out of this system as soon as possible. Um, and I was also applying for internships. And then I got into Amazon. Uh, and in the same team that I'm working right now, I interned over here last year for 3 months. It was a summer internship. And then I got an offer for working here full time. So I took that up. And I think it's been 6, 7, probably 8 months since I joined. I work in this organization inside Amazon, which should probably be its own company, but it's called AWS, Amazon Web Services. Um, so inside Amazon Web Services, there's a product called Elastic File Service, EFS. So I'm inside that team. Um, I'm one of the software engineers working here. We have around 150 engineers working here, like including seniors, juniors, freshers, everyone. And it's really great to be working at a place like Amazon, especially like an org like AWS, where there are maybe the top 1% software developers around you, extremely talented people. Some people even coming from different backgrounds. Like I have a person in my team uh, who was a lawyer, and he worked as a lawyer for a few years, and then he thought that law wasn't a place for him. So he did a master's in computer science and then came to Amazon. And he's like one of the best engineers I've seen. So it's a really diverse set of perspectives that I'm really grateful for at Amazon. But yeah, I think we can move on. So this is my introduction, but I've really put a lot of thought into, you know, I think I was told that the audience is going to be freshers. So I thought like if I was like back as a fresher, what would I be doing differently? And like what is the characteristic thing about freshers that really like stands out? And the only thing that stands out as a fresher is that all freshers are clueless, like completely clueless. They don't know what's going on and they're pretty hopeful. It's like you're standing on a road, but you can't see where that road takes you. And one thing that is for certain is that your college life is going to be very different from the school life and the intermediate life. And I'm pretty sure you guys come from, Chaitanya, Narayana, MS, and those institutions. So it's going to be very different from that. So what I thought was that if all freshers are clueless, I think we should probably start with the roadmap. So I came up with this very short roadmap of what your next 10 years will probably look like. And this is for like 99% of the people who are listening, who are in their first year, second year, or engineering. So first year is usually just being clueless, exploring a lot of things, and then you get some freedom. Actually, this is the most freedom you've got in your life up till now. क्योंकि स्कूल में ऐसा रहता कि your आपके जो घर वाले हैं वो कंट्रोल करते पूरा कि आप कब जा रहे कब आ रहे घर से, and then you have to tell them everything. But then one of the perks, or I should say perks, some people use it as a disadvantage, but MJ is an open gate college, which means that अगर आप क्लास में बैठे आपको समझ में नहीं आ रहा, दूसरे पीरियड में टीचर आने से पहले बैग लेके चले आ सकते हैं आप. So that means you have a lot of freedom. You have freedom to bunk classes. You have freedom to do whatever you want, basically, to some extent. So a lot of people use this freedom some people use it in a good way, some people use it in a bad way. That's your personal choice. For second year, में usually students get a bit serious कि क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना है. Only a few like minority students so they're serious, and then they start DSA, okay, development, internships, side projects, and this is also like second year is the ideal time to search for internships, yeah, DSA or development start karna hai. And also one more point here is that you don't have to wait till second year to start like development, yeah. आपका कुछ भी like DSA करना है या कुछ भी करना है, you can just start today or tomorrow. Like you don't need to follow this. I'm just saying कि average मेरे टाइम पे लोग कैसा करते थे बच्चे. This was second year, and then third year is very important because if you want to go for higher studies, you start applying for masters, because generally the programs, if you want to get in some program after final year, you have to like apply 1 year before. So keep that in mind. And then आपके जो placements होने वाले हैं वो third year के ending में होते, but I would suggest that you are ready for placements by the beginning of third year, which means you have to start in second year. And then I think by the end of third year, I had a few classmates who already got their full-time jobs. थोड़े ऐसे थे जिसको internships मिले थे, so they were doing this huge internship, like 1 year internship. फिर वो लोग जा रहे थे अपनी jobs को, like they were just converting their role to a full-time. And then fourth year is I'm confused actually कि fourth year is why is fourth year included in engineering, because fourth year में आप college आते ही नहीं, at least at my time that was the case, or classes maybe very few people turn up, and in my time it was like teachers used to check the classroom if anyone showed up, and if there was like more than 4 people they would take the class or not. And that's usually because you are very busy in your final year project, or आपके placement जिसके नहीं लगे, वो लोग मतलब prepare कर रहे, jobs देख रहे, stuff like that. So fourth year I think should not be included when you think about engineering. आपके पास सिर्फ 3 साल है. So whatever you want to do, whatever you want to explore, whatever you want to learn, ये 3 साल में करना है. And then there's a decision point here. जैसा आपकी जब engineering खत्म होती, a lot of people they stay back in India. They don't want to go out of India, so they take a job, और यही job जो है चलने वाला है next 40 years, 50 years तक. And then yeah, basically job तो same रहने वाला है, companies थोड़े change हुए नहीं हुए, depends on the person. And then some people take masters as a path. So masters get 2 साल पढ़ लिए, and then you do a job for 40 years. like masters is not going to change a lot in your life. Job करना ही है आपको 40 साल. So I think I'm getting some noise. Maybe if that participant can mute themselves. Okay, thank you. So, a lot of people treat masters as a backup plan, which is very wrong. मतलब इंडिया में जॉब नहीं मिल रहा, चलो बाहर चले जाएंगे. I mean, that is not a good reason to go for masters. क्योंकि masters में, it has its own difficulties. Sometimes it feels like it's harder to get a job outside of India compared to in India, but that doesn't mean you cannot do it. That just means that you have to put more effort and you have to like stand out. But yeah, in the end, you'll have to do like a job, and then it's going to be mostly going to be the same job, just different companies. So this is like a roadmap of how your life is going to be for the next decade or so. So sorry, I think I had a network issue. Yeah, so this is the roadmap. I hope that's clear. And then when I was thinking about this presentation, I basically asked myself this question: like, what would I do if I could go back in time, in 2018? What would I do differently this time? And I came up with a couple points that I want to share. The first one is explore. And this is very important. This is like the crux of why you're coming to college. Because if you think about it, what is college, right? Like, आप आ रहे रोज एक 6 subjects रहते हैं आपको, और 6 teachers आते हैं आपको एक दिन में पढ़ा के चल जाते हैं. But what's really happening is that there are a set of textbooks for every course, और आपके टीचर आ रहे हैं उसको ऑडियो में कन्वर्ट कर रहे हो, टेक्स्ट को ऑडियो में, और आपको एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हैं. And then you all are leaving. और एक क्लासरूम में ऐसा रहता है कि if there are 60 students, the teacher has to go by the slowest student of that batch. So essentially, college is not really about your GPA. It's not really about studying. It's not only about studying. That's, I think, the main thing to understand. अगर आप textbooks पढ़ लिए, you will get the same knowledge. But college ऐसा है कि it gives you a chance to explore new things, to improve your communication, और आपके tech skills वगैरह, या जितने भी आपके दूसरे skills हैं, and it's also a place to like आपकी personality as a whole develop करने के लिए. And that's why I feel the most important thing in college is to explore every possible avenue that you can. And that's why I wrote this out. Try out everything that is legal and also like permitted in your religion. But everything apart from that, you have to try, right? Because the more diverse experiences you have, the more your thought process in life is going to be updated. And if you have a very sharp thought process, then you will be taking really good decisions in your life. And anywhere you go in life is basically a set of decisions that you've taken up to that point. So the more better your decision capability is, the better your life is going to be. So आपके जो मेन एम रहना चाहिए कॉलेज में, वो आपकी थिंकिंग को इम्प्रूव करना है. आपको लाइक you have to start thinking out of the box. The thing about Indian education system, which I have a concern about, is that आपको डिसिप्लिन के नाम पे ओबीडियंस डाल देते इंडियन स्टूडेंट्स में, is what I think goes on, especially in your school and intermediate, चैतन्य नारायण MS वगैरह जो कॉलेजेस में से आप लोग आते. What you think about life right now is that मेरे को एक किताब मिलने वाली है, मेरे को कोई सिलेबस देने वाले हैं, मेरे को खाली पढ़ना है, एग्जाम लिखना है, then I'll be successful. But then when you graduate college and when you really go out in life, और जब आपको अपने लिए कमाना पड़ता है, अपने लिए, when you're looking after yourself, that's when you realize कि अरे दुनिया तो ऐसी है ही नहीं. मेरे को कोई सिलेबस, मेरे को कोई ना सिलेबस दे रहा, मेरे को कोई ना टेक्स्ट बुक दे रहा है यहाँ पे. The reality of life is that अनपढ़ लोग हैं politicians बन के they make millions of dollars, but the person who is studying for 25 years of his life, PhD करके वो बंदा 10,000 rupees कमा रहा, right? And this is not just in India, but I feel a lot more common in the world. So I think like being successful in life requires a lot more than what you study in your textbooks. So don't treat college as only खाली मेरे को एक 8 GPA 8.2 10.2 लाना है, और फिर मेरे को गूगल मेरा जीपीए देख के मेरे को सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर की जॉब दे देता, वैसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं होने वाला। तो the biggest thing that you want to do in your engineering is to reprogram your mind. अभी तक आपके स्कूल में, आपके इंटर में आपको जो भी सिखाए, जो इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ें हैं वो रखो, बट ये जो assumptions है वो पूरे आपको डिस्कार्ड करके आपको अपनी थिंकिंग इस्तेमाल करना, अपना ब्रेन इस्तेमाल करना। And one thing that I really regret is, even though I'm extremely grateful for what I did in my engineering, लेकिन one thing I regret is not reading a lot. I think like अपने culture में उतना like books पढ़ने का वो एक habit नहीं है. And one thing that I was really surprised when I came to the US is that यहाँ के बच्चे बहुत ज़्यादा पढ़ते हैं. Like ये लोग दिन भर libraries में बैठ जाते हैं. Coffee shops में आप जाओ, everyone is reading a book. And the thing is कि world का जितना भी actual wisdom है, most of it is in books. तो books में भी like don't focus more on like self-help books पढ़ लेते मत जाओ. Like for example, just take a random field like economics. Economics की एक अच्छी सी book लियो which is accessible to new learners. And start learning about economics and start learning about GDP क्या रहता, and then how do governments control the economies, और पिछले history में क्या issues हुए थे. And then there's a book called Sapiens, और Sapiens में basically पूरी history condense कर दी वो लोग human की, like humans की. For example, caveman से लेके आज के technology तक क्या क्या issues आए थे humanity में. So all of these things are so interesting and you should really go into these and explore. ऐसा नहीं कि बस आप को मतलब जो for example आप computer science ले लिए तो बस उसका ही पढ़े, वैसा नहीं. You should be exploring a lot of other fields. And another, I think, mistake that I made was that I used to be frustrated with the subjects that OU assigned us. ये सब बहुत सारे जो मैं I think आप लोगों को biology भी आने वाला है आगे. So the only reason I did not study biology was that मतलब मैं computer science के लिए आया, मैं नहीं पढ़ने वाला हूँ. And then I mean it's understandable क्योंकि when you're in your 18 to 22 वाला phase, you have this rebellious mindset कि नहीं मैं जो बोला वही करता हूँ, दूसरा कोई बंदा बोला तो मैं नहीं करता हूँ बोल. So that it's good to have that energy inside you, but don't let it like make you ignorant, right? As even today I have a book that I read a lot, which is on the neuroscience about the brain, because that is something that interests me, right? तो आप अगर biology like एक syllabus खोल के देखें, you'll find a lot that you are interested in. So at the end of the day आपको exam देना ही है, पढ़ना ही है. So why not you like, try to be interested in the topics, और फिर से like instead of just memorizing and then just writing the exam, actually में like समझने की कोशिश कर. Use your critical thinking. And then another point is that bias for action. Like whenever you're exploring, आपको कोई भी idea आया, just take action. ऐसा नहीं सोचो कि मतलब maybe I'm not ready, या मेरे को उतना नहीं आता, या कोई senior से पूछेंगे या बाद में करेंगे, तो बाद में कभी नहीं आने वाला. Just start today and like start building something. Start taking action. अगर आपको किसी से मिलना है तो जाके मिलो, networking करो, जो भी करना है. Because the thing is that you're never gonna have this much free time in your life ever again, because the moment you complete your engineering, आपके responsibilities आ जाते हैं, लोगों के expectations आ जाते हैं. So basically आपके लिए उतना time नहीं रहता, उतना freedom नहीं रहता, like उतना chill life नहीं रहती जितना अब है. So the number one thing that you need to do is start exploring everything. And then when I say everything, I mean in moderation. For example, आप अगर पढ़ रहे तो सिर्फ 24 घंटे पढ़ रहे, पूरे 4 साल पढ़े तो आपके लाइक सोशल स्किल्स डेवलप नहीं होते, फॉर एग्जाम्पल. So I have to do everything in moderation. And I think a good example is, like, for example, अगर आप कोई दावत में गए and आप पहले 10 रुपए बैठे हुए हैं, like you just cannot take one salad and put the whole bowl on your plate, right? नहीं मैं आज खाली चिकन खाऊंगा, पता नहीं होता. You take मतलब थोड़ा ये चख लिए, थोड़ा वो चख लिए, थोड़ा ये. So that's basically what exploring means. Uh, and then the second one is networking. नेटवर्किंग इज हाउ यू मीट न्यू पीपल. एंड नेटवर्किंग का मतलब ये नहीं है कि आपको कोई फैंसी इवेंट में जाना है और आपका कार्ड निकाल के देना है. दैट्स नॉट नेटवर्किंग. आई मीन दैट्स अ पार्ट ऑफ नेटवर्किंग, बट नेटवर्किंग इज जस्ट रीचिंग आउट टू एनीवन बेसिकली. लाइक आपके कोई सीनियर है, कोई जूनियर है, लिंक्डइन पे कोई आपके अलुमनाई है, जस्ट रीच आउट टू देम ऑन लिंक्डइन रहो या इंस्टाग्राम रहो या जो भी है. um, and then what I think networking is, in my opinion, is finding talent around you. अगर आपके कोई सीनियर है जो जबरदस्त प्रोजेक्ट्स कर रहे हैं तो रीच आउट टू हिम एंड आस्क हिम कि आप कैसा कर रहे हैं, क्या है. लर्न व्हाट यू कैन फ्रॉम देम, बिकॉज आई फील कि आप अकेले जो 6 घंटे में सीख सकते, वो आप इन पर्सन कोई बंदे से मिलकर शायद आधे घंटे में सीख सकते उतना. एंड देन यू विल आल्सो बी मोटिवेटेड व्हाइल यू टॉक टू समवन हु इज बेटर देन यू. तो एक इंस्पिरेशन रहता, थोड़ा कंपटीशन रहता. And then you'll have contacts that might help you in the future, stuff like that. And then I think the best place for networking is student groups and student bodies in MJ. And I think you guys should visit other colleges in Hyderabad and see how amazing the student body like organization in MJ is. And I really respect like the college administration for giving so much freedom in terms of like to have so many student bodies and so much freedom. And then there's so much support for events and stuff like that. And for example, if you want to improve your communication skills, have student groups join करके एक मतलब you can practice your public speaking. बहुत काम आता आगे communication में. And then another point is about advice. The thing with freshers and in general when you don't know anything, आप क्या करते, किसी से भी एडवाइस ले लेते. बट आई थिंक दैट्स रॉन्ग. एक फंडामेंटल लाइक एक फिल्टर रखना एडवाइस लेते वक्त कि जो आप एडवाइस ले रहे वो सामने वाले बंदा करावा है या नहीं है. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल इफ यू आस्किंग योर सीनियर हाउ टू गेट इनटू Amazon, हाउ वुड दैट पर्सन नो? ही इज इन थर्ड ईयर इंजीनियरिंग. लेकिन आप अगर पूछेंगे तो वो लोग बोल देते हैं, मतलब कुछ भी बोल देते. So versus someone who's actually got into a company like at least similar to Amazon, उसको अगर पूछे तो फिर भी थोड़ी credibility रहती. So when you're taking advice, don't just blindly believe them. Like use your brain and use your thinking कि ये बंदा जो बोल रहा है वो सही है या नहीं है. थोड़ा सोचो उसके बारे में. And then another thing that I wish I knew is that I was never gonna be ready. मैं पहले फर्स्ट ईयर में one thought that I remember is that I think I wanted to start a project या ऐसे कुछ मैं ऐप बनाना चाह रहा था शायद. But I thought कि नहीं, सेकंड ईयर में magically I will be this new person who knows a lot. तो सेकंड ईयर में मेरे को ज़्यादा मालूम रहता, तो सेकंड ईयर में मैं शुरू करूँगा is what I thought. But apparently life doesn't work that way. आप सेकंड ईयर में आए तो आपको कोई न्यू फीलिंग नहीं आने वाली है, आपको कोई मतलब कोई मेडल नहीं देने वाले हैं, आपको ऑटोमेटिकली कुछ भी चेंज नहीं होने वाला है. यू गोना बी द एग्जैक्ट सेम पर्सन, बस आपको आपका क्लासरूम चेंज हो जाता फॉर एग्जांपल. तो लाइक इन लाइफ यू आर नेवर गोइंग टू बी रेडी एंड यू हैव टू बी आपको इसकी आदत डालना पड़ता बेसिकली. बिकॉज आई थिंक दिस कम्स फ्रॉम द इशू कि जब स्कूल में थे तो हम लोग क्या करते थे, पूरा सिलेबस कंप्लीट करके मॉक टेस्ट दे के उसको 6 बार पढ़ के एग्जाम देते थे. So that's why when we go for an exam or we go for an interview, we want to be 101% prepared. But I don't think life works that way. मेरा जो Amazon या सो मेरा जो अमेज़न का इंटरव्यू था उसके बाद भी आई डिडंट फील कि आई वाज़ रेडी एंड आफ्टर द इंटरव्यू आई एक्चुअली थॉट दैट दे वुड रिजेक्ट मी इतना मतलब एंग्जायटी थी मेरे को कि अरे आई एम नॉट रेडी वही एंड द थिंग इज दैट यू हैव टू बी लाइक आपको आदत हो जाना है चीज की you're never going to be ready आपको सिर्फ like you have to keep the first step um, and then have believe in yourself have confidence and just go forward um, and I think the final one is about AI and how the world is changing. I think आप लोग बहुत already ये topic पे बहुत सारे जने बात कर रहे हैं and you're engulfed with AI and how it's going. So I'm not going to be talking about this a lot, but what I have observed, especially by being in one of the biggest software companies in the world, मेरे को ऐसा लग रहा है कि AI is definitely going to change how we interact with the world. Like अगर आपके पेरेंट्स को जाके आप पूछेंगे कि आपके बचपन के थोड़े किस्से सुनाओ बोल के, so what they'll tell you is that for them the phone was like the biggest revolutionary product of their life. और वो लोग इमेजिन भी नहीं कर सकते थे कि एक स्मार्टफोन बोल के एक चीज आएंगी एंड देन यू कैन लाइक लिटरली वीडियो कॉल एनीवन इन द होल वर्ल्ड वो लोग के लिए बहुत बड़ी चीज थी so the same way how smartphones and internet and computers change the world I honestly feel कि AI भी वैसे ही change करने वाला है because like if you think of AI it's basically intelligence at scale Matlab, you have one of the most smartest individuals or a team of individuals at your service 24/7. So, like for example, my programming, like software development efficiency has tripled since I've started using AI. It's basically like मेरे under like दो तीन जने काम कर रहे हैं. That's how I feel. So what is very certain is that in the next 10 to 20 years, the like everything is going to change on how you interact with the world. And that includes the software field as well. So, but what I wanna, मतलब बहुत सारे जने क्या करते हैं ऐसा नहीं अब दुनिया खत्म हो जा रही AI आ जा रहा है वैसा कुछ भी नहीं होने वाला है. It's just gonna be an upgrade. Like the internet, it's just gonna be upgrade from one situation to another, right? So I think it makes sense to go back in history. For example, पहले shovels use करते थे farming में, agriculture में. So when tractors were first introduced, a lot of people started protesting कि नहीं हमारे jobs चले जा रहे, technology is taking it over. लेकिन actually में क्या हुआ वो जो लोग जो shovel use कर रहे थे farming में, वो लोग उठा के वो लोग को industrialization में डाले. Like वो लोग अब factories में काम करना शुरू कर दिए to actually make that tractor. फिर वहां से टेक्नोलॉजी का बूम आया and then these people were transferred to IT sector, which is one of the largest sectors in the world right now. So the thing is that jobs don't disappear. They're made in a different field again. Like if one job is taken away, it's created somewhere else. So the only advice that I can give you right now is that आप closely monitor करो AI को क्या हो रहा. And by closely monitor, I don't mean कि मतलब news पे जाके obsessively follow कर रहे क्या हो रहा. Look at the technology, look at the research papers. Ki what is deep learning, what is machine learning, what is transformers, image recognition and image generation कैसा होता क्या है. Focus on the technology. Don't focus on the media drama जो भी हो रहा. And the second advice that I can give you is that keep exploring कि नया क्या निकलना क्या नया क्या निकल रहा है नए fields क्या बन रहे. Because what I feel is that like अगर आपके पेरेंट्स के बचपन में अगर कोई बोलते थे कि एक एक लाइक देयर इज गोना बी अ जॉब वेयर एक बंदा लैपटॉप के सामने बैठ रहा और उसको 5 लाख रुपीस दे रहे महीने के फॉर एग्जांपल एज अ सैलरी. वो लोग लाइक अपने इमेजिनेशन में भी नहीं सोच सकते थे कि होने वाला है वो. तो द सेम वे नेक्स्ट 10-20 ईयर्स में जो जॉब रोल्स आने वाले हैं जो फील्ड्स खुलने वाले हैं और जो रिसर्च और इनोवेशन होने वाला है वो अभी हम लोग प्रेडिक्ट कर ही नहीं सकते. So what I want you to do is to be ready and explore or up to date because I'm almost 99.9% sure कि for example आप एक job लिए after engineering you cannot stick to the same job for the next 40 years. ये अपने parents करे अपने grandparents करे but अपना जो generation है it's going to change a lot and you won't be in the same job for a long time क्योंकि I think that everything about jobs and everything like about especially in the software field is going to change. So like आप explore करना शुरू करो, be on the forefront of AI, and by forefront I'm saying this again, technology पे focus करो. Don't focus on everything other than technology. Research papers खोल के start reading research papers. शुरू में समझ में नहीं आता but just put that in GPT and ask GPT to explain you कि research paper में क्या हो रहा. Formal methods देखो, वो लोग के evaluations कैसा कर रहे हो वो देखो. And then break down how they got to that idea. कोई भी research paper है. तो and then think कि अच्छा ठीक है अगर मैं invent कर सकता था ये तो how would I do it differently? That's how you can develop your critical thinking skills. And I think one more thing that I should mention with AI is that please do not use AI when you're starting off in programming. मेरे को शुरू में समझ में नहीं आ रहा था कि सी प्रोग्रामिंग की क्लास लाइक मेरे सामने कंप्यूटर या लैपटॉप क्यों नहीं रख रहे मेरे को पेपर पे क्यों लिखा रहे प्रोग्राम I think मेरे टाइम पे मंजूषा मैम थे I'm not sure if she is still there or not she used to come and just write a program बोल के शुरू करते थे ना क्लास so exactly so what I didn't understand is मेरे को पेपर पे क्यों लिखा रहे but then I realized कि पेपर पे जब आप लिखते हैं तो यू डोंट हैव ऑल ऑफ दीस फैंसी थिंग्स इन बिटवीन यू लाइक कीबोर्ड है या इंटेलिजेंस है या सजेशंस है तो आप फंडामेंटल से समझते हैं अच्छा ठीक है ऐसा इंट मेन एंड देन ब्रैकेट यहाँ पे आता ये फंक्शन रहता कैसा वर्क करता so the level of understanding that you get with a pen and paper is much more than when you use an IDE. आईडी इज फॉर प्रोफेशनल्स जिसको ऑलरेडी सब आता है वो लोग मतलब जल्दी जल्दी प्रोग्राम करने के लिए है बट फॉर अंडरस्टैंडिंग फंडामेंटल्स यू हैव टू गो वेरी स्लो एंड यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड एवरीथिंग तो आपकी जो असाइनमेंट्स है आई एम 100% श्योर कि 99% स्टूडेंट्स उनका असाइनमेंट जीपीटी में डाल रहे that's something you people cannot deny right I was also a student but what I ask from you is that आप लोग fundamentals पढ़ो do not like you know डू नॉट डिपेंड ऑन एआई कि आप ऐसे पोजीशन पे नहीं आ जाना कि एआई को मालूम है क्या कर ले रहा हूँ मेरे को नहीं मालूम बट आई जो भी आपका एरर आ रहा हो बार बार एआई में डाल के मैं सही कर लेता हूँ बोले तो आप इंजीनियर नहीं होते आप टाइपिस्ट है you're typing out a query you're copying that and you're pasting it अगर आप वैसा कर रहे हैं तो your job is the first one to leave क्योंकि एआई लाइक नेक्स्ट ईयर या इन 2 years वो खुद कॉपी पेस्ट करना सीख जाता होना तो जब क्या करते हैं आप So what you want to do is you have to have very solid fundamentals. So जो teachers पढ़ा रहे computer science में और जो labs है, try to like come up with those programs by yourself. And yeah, I think these are the 3 very important things about AI. And then I also thought of a small gift that I can give to the new batch that just joined MJ. So I came up with a list of resources that like it's just a Google document जो आप लोग like scan कर सकते QR code को on the screen. It's just a bunch of resources. It's not exhaustive. Like it's not all of the resources that I've used. Like it's a subset of resources which I think will be helpful if you guys go through it. And then before we start the Q&A, I think I just wanted to mention that if you guys want to reach out to me, I'm accessible on Instagram, but and you guys can feel free to like send me a DM. But I do take like a couple days sometimes to reply. So it depends. Like I don't like to use Instagram a lot, but I do log in to like answer a lot of questions, and I have some question answer sessions. Bhi मैं करता हूँ on weekends, so you guys can reach out there. And there's a QR code on the screen if you guys want to follow me over there or message. But yeah, I think this was the session, and I hope you guys found this helpful. I think I can give it back to the C seat for the Q&A session.
Thank you so much for joining us as a speaker today. Your valuable insights have truly elevated the event, and I'm certain that the attendees will greatly benefit from your experience. So, we sincerely appreciate your time and contribution. Thank you so much. So now we can get started with the question answer session. If anyone has a question, please put it down in the chat box.
Yeah, that's a lot of questions. Let's just go by first come, first serve. LinkedIn connection. I'm sorry, I've not updated LinkedIn in a long time. I'll check that. How has AI affected the programming? I think I answered that. I mean, I don't see major adoption of AI in like companies, as at least big companies right now. But हम लोग को भी like uh, there's an AI called Amazon Q यहाँ पे, तो internally वो लोग हम आपको promote कर रहे हैं कि मतलब use करो आपके development के time, and it's good. It's not like the greatest thing out there, लेकिन what I think the biggest effect is the efficiency is increasing. तो जो पहले 5 जने कर सकते थे, I think वो एक ही जना कर सक रहा होगी. And what skills should we need to focus on currently is something I probably cannot answer. आपको इसीलिए बोला मैं that you have to find out yourself कि आपको क्या skills use करना है. As the field is very new, like मेरे को खुद idea नहीं है क्या होने वाला है. तो आप लोग explore करो and आप लोग like keep yourself up to date with AI कि क्या हो रहा, and you know, use your brain and come up with different fields and different sectors and different roles, जो new roles खुल रहे लोगों के in companies. So I would suggest looking at that. To those students, what would you give advice to those students who are lagging behind? Love, it really doesn't matter, honestly. Yeah, so I think I was saying, oops, I think I had a network connection, so I just rejoined. I don't see any of the messages. So can the participants just send them again? Yeah, I think one of those was about lagging behind. I've actually had a lot of classmates जो third year में serious हुए थे या fourth year में serious हुए थे, and they're doing really good. And you know, मैं खुद भी like DSA and development वगैरह, I even though I think I started a bit early, but actually मैं serious में third year से ही हुआ था. तो I don't think there is a concept called lagging behind, because I think a lot of people underestimate themselves. Like I honestly believe कि जो engineering जो आप लोग 4 साल कर रहे हैं, वो I think compress करके 4 महीने में भी कर सकते हो. I honestly don't know why it's 4 years, but it gives you a lot of free time, so that's a plus. So I honestly don't think there's anything called lagging behind, especially with the engineers that I am with right now. You know, ये लोग different areas से आते हैं. I have a person who was like a Starbucks employee. वहाँ से he's come here as a software engineer at Amazon. So I honestly don't think there's something like lagging. बस ये है कि आपको एक उतना कॉन्फिडेंस रहना अपने अंदर, उतना डिटर्मिनेशन रहना कि उतना गोल रहना कि मेरे को ये करना है वो। Um, what is the ground reality outside of India? Is it more competitive? That's a hard question to answer. क्योंकि out of India, तो I think there are 218 countries. But if you're talking about US, then competition तो अभी increase हो रहा. But I'm also hearing कि jobs भी increase हो रहे. So I'm not entirely sure, and I'm not really in the job market, so I'm probably not a good person to ask. Uh, but competitive तो रहने वाला है because I think if you want to gauge कि आपका competition कैसा है, you look at who is your competition. So when you come here, you'll have a lot of IITians in your competition. Not that IIT matters here, but like what they'll have like big companies in their resumes, a lot of experience. And then they come from different colleges, different backgrounds, different knowledge, different experience. So the only way to stand out is to make sure कि आप आपकी field में best है. That's the only way to stand out. And I would say it's pretty competitive, but it's not as cutthroat as India. क्योंकि यहाँ पे opportunities भी है. I feel India में थोड़े से कम opportunities है. But yeah, I think यहाँ पे ऐसा है कि if you put in the effort, then you will get the result. That's what I feel. What is my LinkedIn account? A good question. I can come up with it. I need to update it though. So, I mean, okay, how do you choose your main path? Anyway, see, that's the thing. And, the question is कि आपकी फील्ड कैसा चूज करना है और किस पे काम करने वाले हैं. I think it's a very hard question to answer कि कौन सी फील्ड में काम करना है for the rest of your life, and that's I don't think that's something जो आपको ज़रूरी है कि आपके 4 साल में मालूम होना कि मेरे को इस पे काम करना है. You can just work in whatever is interesting to you in the beginning, but the only way to know is to start exploring like everything. That's why I emphasize so much on exploring because आप जितना explore करेंगे उतना आप realize करते हैं कि how you're feeling and how what exact thing you're interested in. That's the way to solve this dilemma, I feel. What's the best way to stay up to date with current technologies? That's a good question. I use Twitter or X platform, but I'm not sure. I don't want to like suggest another social media, but I feel that Twitter pe there's much more like useful information versus useless information. So you can use that. You can use I think there's a lot of websites where you can see the newly published research papers. That's also a really good way. And that's those are the two main methods that I use to see what's going on. Is there any scope in full stack? I mean, I get a lot of these questions. कि full stack करना है, app development करना है, Flutter करना है. These are all technologies, right? In the end, what you're doing is you're solving a problem for a company. तो आप ऐसे बनना कि you should be able to use any tool to solve a problem. That is the main goal of a software engineer. जैसा एक मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर है या like for example एक बहुत talented mechanic है. If that person, if you give any car to that person, वो बंदा fix कर देता because he knows the fundamentals are same across all cars, at least like all gas cars or all electric cars. So even software engineers में भी आप लोग ऐसा नहीं बनना कि मैं खाली full stack करना है. You should be able to decipher any software and start working on it. So develop skills in software in general. Fundamentals आपके बहुत strong रखो and aim to becoming a better software engineer. And when you become the best, you don't need to ask कि मतलब full stack अच्छा है या Flutter अच्छा है, Java अच्छा है, Node.js अच्छा है, पूछने की जरूरत नहीं रहती. Because you can like work with anything. Um, what is the most sought after skill? I don't think I can even answer that, but it's a very open ended question. I don't think, uh, but I think like a question ki thinking should be reversed. Like instead of thinking about what is the best skill, think what you are the best at. Like आप skills try कर सकते हैं and then आपको जिसमें interest आ रहा वो try कर सकते हैं and then you can understand कि आप किस में अच्छे हैं. Right? Because when you are naturally good at something, no one can beat you at that. लेकिन आप कोई random skill लेके उसके ऊपर मेहनत करके फिर आगे बढ़ रहे, you will always have a lot of people who naturally get good at that. तो वो लोग से आप compete करना मुश्किल रहता. I think you should ask yourself कि what you want to be the best at. Hmm, what advice would you give to a person who wants to be, he wishes to do DSA? What language would you recommend? DSA, I think if your aim is to stay back in India, I would suggest Java because a lot of companies use that. Um, Java or C++ basically. But if your plan is to move out of India, they don't really care about आप DSA कौन से language में कर रहे हैं. So you can use any language, but I think DSA, which is data structures and algorithms, is the most important subject of your 4 years of engineering if you want to get a job basically. Because आपके जो इंटरव्यू होने वाला है जॉब का फोर्थ ईयर के बाद, the main part of that interview is going to be like asking you questions, uh, like programming questions related to data structures and algorithms. Um, what is your package? I'm going to ignore this question. Tell something about open source contributions. I think open source contribution is a good way to stand out क्योंकि open source contribution का सबसे ज़्यादा benefit ये रहता कि you have proof to an employer जब आप कोई जॉब अप्लाई कर रहे हैं कि I know software engineering. Because मेरे बहुत सारे जब मैं internships को अप्लाई कर रहा था तो even in like interviews के बीच में वो लोग पूछे कि do you have any open source contributions जो आप बता सकते हैं हमारे. And because of Google Summer of Code, I had a lot of like good pull requests and good like code changes and stuff like that. तो वो आप I think that's the biggest benefit of open source contribution. Since you're working in a FANG company, what do they look for in a student? That's an interesting question. I think like in a few months I think they'll allow me to interview candidates. I think that is when I can answer this question a bit more specifically. But I don't think I have an answer at this point. Just like if you're honestly talented, then they'll find you. Basically, आपको ये सोचने की जरूरत नहीं रहती कि how do I make sure I reach them? If you're really talented in software development, they'll find you. Like आप resume डाले तो 100% shortlist होते आप. I started learning C language as I'm not sure what this question really is. What do you think? मतलब, even I learned like HTML, CSS, JavaScript 9th class या मैं 7th class में सीखा था, but I forgot everything about that. मेरे को याद भी नहीं था HTML क्या है. So, and I also saw a lot of people like bragging in the first year कि नहीं हम लोग 12th class में Java पढ़ लिए थे, and then turns out they're not really that good at programming. But so it doesn't really like उतना फर्क नहीं पड़ता आप 9th class में पढ़े नहीं पढ़े. Like start again, learn what you don't know and start building projects. That's the only thing that matters, I think. Mistakes you have done which we should avoid. I mean, ये पूरा presentation ही उसके ऊपर ही था. Why did you not opt for a job in the US despite of doing masters in Virginia? I'm confused about this question. Why did you not opt for a job in the US despite of doing masters? And like, I'm actually working here, so I'm not sure this question means. Um, what role does CGPA, hackathons, projects, and student bodies play in securing? CGPA is important when you're applying for masters because even though I think they understand to an extent some universities are lenient and some are not, but the GPA really says कि आप कितने disciplined है और कितने like hard working है. Like you're showing up at a college और एक 4 साल की degree complete करे, that says something about you. That's not the whole picture, but it is important. So I would suggest at least keep it around 8 minimum if you can. Hackathons are important. आप resume में काम आता, MS के application में भी काम आता, projects. The student bodies, I think, is more important for your own development, communication, stuff like that, which is very important in your life. And also, one more thing is that don't live this life जहाँ पे हर चीज आप resume के लिए कर रहे, हर चीज masters के इसके लिए कर रहे. Like आपको genuinely जो interest है, start doing that. And especially communication and soft skills is something that people don't really give priority to. लेकिन आप as a software engineer, जब आप काम करेंगे, you'll realize कि coding is like 20% of your job, 80% is communication. So आपके interview में भी they'll judge you based on how you're communicating your thoughts in the program that you wrote. So पे focus अच्छा करना है आप लोग को. And yes, I'm not sure what's going on with the network, but I think I joined again. I think the host can take over if it's above time, but I think I lost all just the question.
All right. I think we have covered most of the questions that they have asked. Once again, thank you everyone for joining and thank you, Abdul Malik, for taking up this session. It was really informative and I'm sure it's going to benefit the attendees.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I think if there is nothing else, then we can wrap up with this session.
Yes, if anyone has any other questions, you can ask him on Instagram. The session is done, guys.
And also you will get a feedback form in your mails to register that as well after the event.
If you have any questions related to the GenAI campaign, we'll be opening the group so that everyone can ask questions. So you're welcome to ask questions regarding the GenAI campaign. Okay. All right. I think we are done here. Thank you so much for your attendance. You can start leaving the meet now.